Tennessee Wildcast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. Hey, excited about today's show. It's all about ducks, and we may throw in a few things about geese as well, and sandhill cranes. It's all about waterfowl, I guess I should say. We have Mr. Jamie Feddersen with us today. He's going to lead the conversation. He's got all the details on everything going on in waterfowl. And I have Mr. Don King with me.
Yes, sir, Jason. Thanks for the invite. Glad to be here, and thank you, Jamie, for being here with us today.
Yeah,
great to be back.
Appreciate you guys jumping in. Should be a fun show. A lot of changes are going on upstairs in waterfowl, and we're going to discuss those today.
Sure.
Everything we're going to talk about today has been discussed at the recent commission meeting. So if you want to follow up on some of this and reference that commission meeting, you'll hear some more discussion about what all went down. But today we'll hear it straight from Jamie.
Yeah. There was good discussion at the meeting and questions from the commissioners.
Right.
And so anyway, it'd be worth checking out after you learn a little bit more about this thing.
Sure.
So let's jump right in. The duck blind drawings are around the corner, Saturday, August 3rd. Tell us some of these locations, Jamie, and what's going to be going on.
Yeah, sure. So, as you guys know, we have several WMAs in Middle and West Tennessee where we've got permanent blind locations set out where people come, apply, they get drawn, they form up their parties, and then they get these areas where they build up their blinds and they're able to hunt them throughout the entire season. So we've got several locations where that happens for several of the different areas. The bulk of them happen in West Tennessee. So we've got
a lot of ducks out there.
Yeah. So probably the most popular one we have is the Kentucky Lake WMA stuff. That's the Big Sandy location. I've worked that a couple of times. We get about 2,500 people coming out and applying for those blinds. And they're choosing for blind locations at Camden, Big Sandy, Harmons Creek, and Gin Creek. So it's really popular because Camden is it's got a very good reputation for being a very good duck hunting area. Plus, we got all these other areas in there, so just a lot of people. West Sandy WMA, and that's at the big. I'm sorry, the Kentucky Lake one. That's at the Big Sandy Ballpark in Big Sandy. It's, it's a pretty big event, real popular. Lots of people go to it.
If you're in that area, you know where the Big Sandy Ballpark is.
Yeah, for sure. The next one is the West Sandy WMA draws. That happens at the Henry County Fairgrounds. It's a much smaller venue, it's a much smaller crowd that goes to that one. We've got Barkley WMA. That happens at the Stewart County High School, and that's for both units at Barkley. A lot of people know that area as Dover Bottoms. We've got the Reelfoot WMA draws for Reelfoot Lake. That's at the State Park Visitor Center. Tiger at WMA happens at the Dyer County Fairgrounds, and we've got Gooch WMA at the Obion City Park. In Middle Tennessee, we've got AEDC, happens at Morris Ferry. Those are for blinds that are on Woods Reservoir. Cheatham Lake happens at the Cheatham WMA headquarters. There's, I think, 2 different units at Cheatham that they draw for. Haynes Bottom WMA is going to happen at the Haynes Bottom WMA shop in Woodlawn. And then Old Hickory has several blinds. They've got 2 units that they draw for there, and they do that at the Ward Agriculture Center in Lebanon. And that one's a fairly big one, too. I think they get about maybe 1,500, 1,800 people to that one. So that's another big popular one as well.
That's one I've been to before, and it's pretty big event. So.
But when you have to hold your drawing at a fairgrounds, I think it kind of shows you it's a little bit bigger than like the local cafeteria at the middle school or something.
So this says here you had this note: 16 years of age to enter.
Yeah, we've got some certain requirements that you have in order to apply for them. Yeah, everybody's got to be 16 years of age to put in for it. You also have to have a hunting license and a Tennessee waterfowl license or some equivalents. Like if you have the sportsman's license, that covers both of those.
But you got to have that before on that day.
You need to have them before you're even able to sign up.
Okay.
So make sure you go online. And
GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.
I was hoping that one of you would pick that in there, and then and get your licenses and make sure you show up with that, because I know that every time that I work one of these, there's always a group of folks that show up and don't have them, and they just they got to run down to the Walmart real quick, or get online and buy it on their smartphone or something. So make sure you have those with you. If you're going to Real Foot for the Real Foot drawing, you have to have the Real Foot preservation permit. Okay. So that's pretty important. Make sure you have that as well.
Okay. So let's jump right into the new process for the duck blind drawings. This change just happened recently. It was discussed at the commission meeting, like we said earlier. And you can go watch that discussion online. But let's jump in and tell us what's changing.
Yeah, sure. So let's start from the beginning. We get a lot of public input on how we run our seasons, how we run our management areas, things like that. And a common theme that we've seen over the years is there are folks that are unhappy with how we do the duck blind draws. It seems as though the same folks are getting to hunt pretty much the same blinds every single year. And what we've come to figure out over time is that there's some buying and selling of these blinds going on. Now that's illegal. According to our rule, you're not allowed to do that. There are some penalties that go along with that, but it's really hard to enforce. It's really hard to figure out who's buying and selling, things like that. So we've had some difficulty trying to enforce that. So the other thing that goes along with it too is when you get the same people using the same areas over and over again, it puts a bad taste in folks' mouth that really want to get on to use those areas. That if this buying and selling is happening, these people can't get involved. They're not willing to do it, or they financially can't play the game. So, we wanted to come up with maybe a different process for doing the duck blind drawing that would cut down on some of that, or at least give more people a better opportunity to be able to get one of these blind locations. Again, these are pretty coveted locations. You get a good blind draw, you're going to get some good duck hunting throughout the year, and it shouldn't. It's unfortunate that the same people are having it over and over again, and we're not able to spread that opportunity around to a lot of other Tennessee hunters. So we worked with the commission. We worked internally, had a lot of discussion about how to go about doing that. And so the normal process for this is when you show up at the duck blind drawing, you fill out a card, has your information on it. You keep one side of, it's a tag system. You keep one half of the tag, the other half goes into a barrel. Between 7 and 10 o'clock, those are the times that you have to come in and register, get your application filled out, and get it into the bucket. At 10 o'clock, we roll the bucket, and then we start pulling names out. Now, what has happened in the past is the first person's name that's drawn out, he's got the very first choice of blind location. So that very first pick was coveted, and that's the one where people would be like, hey, I might give you $10,000, $15,000 for you to sign me on as one of your party members, and then just don't even bother showing up anymore, because I just don't want you there, because me and my buddies are going to hunt it. And that's what we think has been happening. We're almost certain that's been happening. So the change in this process now, that all works. That is all still going to be the same way. Everybody who shows up and fills out an application has an equal chance of being drawn out of the bucket. So the new process is when your name is drawn out, we pull out Jason Harmon. At that moment, at that time, Jason has to form his party. So everybody that wants to sign on and hunt with Jason out of Jason's blind has to sign up as a party. So now Don, myself, we're signing on with Jason, and then maybe 8 other of Jason's
Jason
buddies.
has a whole bunch of new best friends at that moment.
Right. So what that does is
good callers. I need some good callers.
So what that does is that forms that party, and that party then goes to stage 2 So Jason forms his party, will collect up everybody that's in Jason's party, will go up, and they will surrender their tags that they have on their person. So the next time, as we're continuing to draw, if my name gets drawn, I can't go up and claim that because I don't have the claim tag with it. So because I am on Jason's party,
I'm already hunting.
Right, I'm already signed on to Jason's party. I've already got my name in the bucket on Jason.
Right.
Okay, so we needed to do that to control additional folks going in, and so that way, if Jason got drawn and I got drawn and you got drawn, all three of us go back in to the second draw, which is going to be for the location, and now that gives us 3 chances to get it.
Sort of
we
like
don't want that.
Cullen fish.
Yeah, we don't want that. So we want to, we don't want multiple opportunities for multiple folks to be chosen. So that's why we're doing that. Form the party after the first draw, and then that party leader goes into the second draw.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure,
on
go
that?
ahead.
So I get drawn, I create my party. How much time do I have to create that party before the next tag is drawn?
Yeah, I think at this point we haven't really put like a time limit on it, but
it's got to happen before the next one.
That's really what has to happen.
Yeah.
It's really got to happen before that next draw because, again, there has to be a period of time where I have been. If I'm signing on with you, I'm now disqualified from the rest of the draw. So that has to happen before we pick the next name. So it's going to slow things down a little bit at the beginning, but I think in the end, we're going to get a better product out of it.
I think Don can work up some Jeopardy type music.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just let it roll in between times.
Yeah.
10 or 15 minutes for them to do that.
So we've gone through the first process. For how many ever blind locations there are at a certain area, we'll do that process until we get, as an example, we'll get 35 parties. If there's 35 blinds to be drawn, we'll form 35 parties, and all 35 of those parties have one entry into the next draw. And then we roll up the bucket and we start drawing again. Then the first name that comes out gets first choice of hunt location. Okay.
Cool.
That party gets the choice of the hunt location. So it really, if there's buying and selling going on, what we think this is going to do is totally devalue the first pick, because you're just not going to throw a ton of money at somebody who may end up being the last pick. So there's very little incentive to try to buy your way onto somebody's permit, or to somebody's blind, because you just don't know what the value of it's going to be at the next drawing. It could be great, or it could be bupkis.
So do you encourage folks, if they're going to be there, kind of have their parties thought about?
Yeah, I mean, that would
closest friends there.
That would be the best thing, is if who you hunt with, and make sure you have those folks together with you. That way, if one of you's drawn, you can all just work to the table together and you just go sign on together. Fill out get all the paperwork that we needed done filled out, so that we can move on to the second part of the draw. And then when you're drawn out in the second one, you're going to know what your blind is going to be. And then the process is the same as it's always been. Everybody comes up and we fill out blind permits, and for everybody in the party. And the beautiful thing is we can be working on those probably while the drawing's going on. Like we could probably speed up the back end of the process by having things pre-filled out.
So I guess the ultimate choice comes from the one that got drawn, right? Because once you get the party lined up, I guess the ultimate decision about the choice comes from the leader.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're calling it, would be the party leader.
Right.
That person would be the one that makes the choice of what the blind is. Now, the beautiful thing is you've already got your party formed. You guys have already talked about it. You should know what you want.
Right.
And
we won't blind 6, 10, and 14 in that order if we get drawn.
Right. Exactly. Now, one of the things that people have been, we've gotten a lot of feedback on this, and one of the questions that we have been getting is, well, what happens when we get down to like the last 5? That aren't really any great and nobody really wants them. And what if people don't stick around to pick them? Well, that's fine. What happens is those just go in to the system as temporary hunt locations. So it's an area where you don't need, there's probably not going to be a blind there, but you can show up on any morning to hunt in that location as long as you're the first one there. So the hunt spot won't go unused. It'll just be used in a different way.
Right.
So, people will complain about lost opportunity, but the opportunity is still there. You can still go. If there's no blind, you can hunt out of your boat. You can, wade hunt, but you've just got to be in that location where that blind might be or should have been.
Had to been, yeah.
Right.
So, real quick, if I don't show up to my blind on a morning, is it open to anybody to jump in there? Is there a certain time limit?
Yeah. So the way the rule is that anybody can get into that blind as long as you're in that blind prior to legal shooting light. If the blind holder or a permit holder for that blind does not show up, it's basically first come, first serve.
Okay.
So the first person in that blind gets to use that blind as long as a blind permit holder does not show up. If a blind permit holder shows up, you've got to exit the blind.
Unless he says, "Hey, stick around. I don't care."
Sure, and I that probably happens in some locations.
Yeah.
Some areas it may not happen, but yes, that's always a possibility that you could be invited along.
But they do have to be there before shooting.
Yeah,
hours.
the blind permit holder has to be there before legal shooting light.
Okay.
So if they show up half an hour after legal shooting light, the group that was in there, they've got claim to the blind for the rest of the day.
Okay. All right, and this applies to all drawing locations. The new way of drawing is going to happen.
That is correct. It's
in Middle Tennessee and West.
Yeah, it was a universal change. We weren't going to change it for just one area. We changed it for all areas. And buying and selling blinds is, it might be rampant at one area and doesn't happen in another area. And so there are going to be some folks that might be a little chapped about this because, it didn't affect their area, but we have now affected how their process is.
Right.
But, we kind of need to, if we're going to do this, we need to be uniform across the board, make it all play the same way.
Okay. All right. Well, does that cover everything on the drawing process and locations you want to cover?
Yeah, I think so. I think we pretty much covered it. It's really just the big thing is making sure that people know that there was a change to the process. So what people have been used to is definitely going to be different.
Right.
So we were just hoping to get that out there so that we're not dealing with a lot of folks showing up saying, I didn't know about this.
Right.
So we're doing the best that we can.
We want to encourage everybody to go back and watch the commission meeting
Absolutely.
for details that may or may not have been covered here. Plus, also the website is going to have, that'll be another resource for all these changes.
I don't know exactly what the location is on the website, but I'm sure that there's information there. Yep.
And we've really hit on why, but what's some of the reactions you've heard?
Yeah, we've had a little bit of both.
Some are in favor, some are not.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think we're hearing more in favor. People that have been, calling the office. I've got messages on my phone. The secretaries upstairs are answering calls and talking with some other staff members around that. What they're hearing, people are saying, man, thanks for doing this because now I feel like I might actually have a shot at getting a blind this year.
A lot more opportunity.
Yeah,
really.
And so there are a lot of folks that are pretty darn happy with the fact that we're making this change. That we recognize that there's probably a problem, and I think our responsibility is to try to make the opportunities on our public lands as fair and equitable as possible.
Sure.
We just want the opportunity for everybody to have a chance.
Right.
And I think people are recognizing that this is a step towards doing that. This is what we really want to do. Now, I have spoken with a couple of folks who work locally in the areas. Like I just recently spoke with a technician at one of our areas. Out in West Tennessee, and he said to me, yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints from some folks. They don't like the way this is, but he goes, I think those are mostly the folks that are buying and selling blinds. So, So I think the folks that really are unhappy with it are the ones that are going to be impacted the most, because we're taking away their the way that they have been getting their blinds year after year. So, but yeah, again, when you get a lot of calls and folks are saying, man, I feel like this, I now feel like I might actually have a chance at it. I think that really lets us know that there was an issue, and that we are at least taking the right step to try and fix that, to give that opportunity.
And all these events are really celebrations, aren't they?
They really are.
It's just exciting times. The season's on people's minds, and they're thinking about it, and
and waterfowl hunting is such, just it's so there's a lot of camaraderie in it, and it's so it's a group event.
So social.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It's very social.
Reading my mind.
Yeah, duck hunting is very social, and so it doesn't surprise me that a lot of folks would want to get together to do this sort of thing. And that is how they look at these hand draws. Is, man, it's a time to get together. We're starting to think about ducks. We're talking about ducks, and catch up on what's been happening with everybody's. And so I get why these hand draws are real popular in that respect, because you're right, they're like a celebration.
Yeah.
That's something that made me think about. They form these groups. Now they get to go work on these blinds. Yeah. Prep them, and I'm sure that's fun for them too. They enjoy getting out there and just preparing for the season.
Sure. I mean, if you think, going out and working in the September heat, building a blind in the middle of a marsh is fun.
I think they enjoy it.
I'm sure they do too. I mean, it's probably not fun in the sense that it's really enjoyable to be outside doing that. But yeah, I'm sure they have a good time putting blinds together and recalling past duck hunts and anticipation for what the upcoming season might be and things like that.
Exactly.
So.
All right. Well, let's jump into some other things that's been going on. Sandhill Crane tag drawing will happen here pretty soon too. Soon after the duck blind draws.
Yeah, and so it's a good jumping point. Since we're talking about hand draws, we do offer up Sandhill Crane tags to be used in the Southeast Crane Zone. That's sort of that area that's around Ray and Meigs County, but there's a few other counties that are located with it. But mainly the bulk of the harvest that we get is in Ray and Meigs County. We've been doing this. I think this will be our 7th year of. Sixth or seventh year of doing hand draws for these tags.
Second time at Ray County High, right?
Yeah, this will be our 2nd year at Ray County.
Outgrew Birchwood.
We did
community center there.
Yeah, the Birchwood. I mean, we're getting I think upwards of 600-700 people now. Yeah. So that Birchwood Center. I mean, so it was a great place. It was a really good facility, but the parking is what was killing us. Right. We just had way too many people, and it was getting to be a safety issue.
Yeah.
So we got the Ray County High School in Evansville. They've been gracious enough to let us use their facility. It worked out great for us last year. I don't see any reason that it won't work great for us this year. The nice thing, I think the locals over there are going to appreciate with the hand draws that we've got more tags to issue for the Crane Zone next year. So we've got 1,539 tags that we're going to issue out. And of course, each one of those hunters gets 3 tags. So 513 hunters will get 3 crane tags each there.
That's great.
Again, there's some requirements. You got to be at least 13 in order to put in for the draw, and you got to have a hunting license and a Tennessee waterfowl license.
Then you got to pass that test later, right?
Yeah, and in order for that to be valid, once you get your tags, in order for them to be validated, you've got to take the Sandhill Crane Identification Test, write that validation number on your tags, and that's what makes you legal to hunt cranes in Tennessee.
And this is jumping further out. But once the season's over with, you like to get responses back. And if they don't do that, they might get knocked out of the drawing next year, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Jason. It's not we need.
Yeah,
and there's a postseason survey that everybody who's issued a tag, whether you hunt or not, this postseason survey has to be filled out and returned to us. And I think the deadline on it is February 10th of this year. So we need to get those in. We need to get those by February 10th. And if we don't get your survey back, you are disqualified from being able to put in for any tags the following year. So there's a group
incentive, right?
Yeah, there's a number of folks this year or this past hunting season that did not put in for or did not submit their survey, their postseason survey. And so I have a number of folks.
Naughty and nice list.
Yeah, that we've got a list of folks that they are not eligible to put in for either the handheld draw. They're also not able to put in for the computer draw for the statewide tag. So, is that a great segue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Computer draw is September 4th through the 25th.
It is. Yeah. So again, that's you apply online. You got to have the Tennessee license. Waterfowl license in order to put in for that. We're giving out 1,420 tags. Those hunters with those statewide tags, they get 2 tags apiece. So 710 hunters are going to get 2 tags apiece. Now those tags are good statewide, including they can also use them in the crane zone.
Okay.
So, and we do know from the information that we get back on those postseason surveys that a lot of our statewide hunters do go to that crane zone and use those tags in the crane zone. But we do have a fair amount of tags that get used down in the Woods Reservoir area, down in Franklin, Coffee County.
Cool.
We've got a pretty decent wintering population of cranes down there, and also up in Obion and Weakley County near Hop In Refuge.
I've seen a bunch of birds at Hop In.
And those birds leave Hop In and they fly around and use the adjacent farms and things like that. So we get a fair amount of harvest up there as well.
So, and then if you are in the hand draw, you only hunt in the Sandhill Crane Zone down in southeast Tennessee.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. You know what? We're going to run out of time.
Are we?
You filled time good, but I want you to tell folks about the goose banding y'all been doing, and there's a video you can watch online on our Facebook page and maybe our YouTube page. But anyway, Facebook that Barry put together.
Yeah. So last couple of weeks, this is a time of year when geese are molting their flight feathers, so they can't fly away. We herd them up like cattle. Round them up on the water, get them to walk up into this pen that we made, get a whole bunch of them in there, usually at least 100 at a time, and we're putting bands on them. These birds, once they're flying during the hunting season, they get harvested. Hunters like those bands. They report that information. We can see how birds are moving around the state. We can get sex ratios and age ratios, and real good data we need to manage the goose population.
And doing some of that same stuff with wood ducks as well coming up.
Starting up in July and August for wood ducks.
So that's awesome. Good stuff. Hey, remember, go check out our commission meeting. Watch that if you want to hear more details on this. I think we covered a lot here today.
Yeah, we did.
So this show should get you caught up to date. So
we are missing one thing.
Go ahead.
Some waterfowl in this room.
Yes, Jamie, could you get us some waterfowl to hang in the room?
Yeah, I've that's on my list of things to take care of this year. We got to wait for a waterfowl season to open up and get some decent mounts for you. But thinking a nice mallard and a wood duck, maybe a gadwall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's move that up on your to-do list.
Yeah. All right. Number 297 on my list of things to do.
Exactly. All kinds of stuff going on. Hey, thanks for tuning into this show. Jamie, thank you for being here. Don, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, we're out there on social media. We're out there everywhere. Just keep coming back, tuning in, keep watching, keep listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.